But since that ask went out, there has been major news on Iran that I really wanted to get your perspective on, especially because you are the first Iranian American Democrat elected to Congress. The United States is continuing to carry out a military operation against Iran following joint U.S.-Israeli strikes that started over the weekend. And those strikes killed dozens of members of the regime's leadership, including the supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei. So to start off the conversation, what's your reaction to what we've seen unfold over the past 5 days?
Thank you so much for the question. As you mentioned, this issue is deeply personal to me. I'm the daughter of two Iranian immigrants who fled this awful regime. I had a grandfather who was imprisoned by this regime, cousins who were murdered, and this regime is one that has massacred tens of thousands of Iranians just in the last couple of weeks. So this is a complicated issue because from the Iranian perspective, in terms of the people of that country, this moment, there's a lot of celebration about the murder of the supreme leader, about the possibility that there could be a better future, a democratic future in the country. Also, a lot of anxiety. Bombs are falling. Lack of clarity about what comes next. But I think for the first time in a long time, certainly a feeling of potential hope. Now, as an American, I think there are a lot of feelings as well that are also very valid. The United States and the American people, have made very clear that they don't want another endless war in the Middle East. They don't want to send their sons and daughters to harm's way. We've already had 6 service members who've been killed, and the president has been very callous in casually stating that there will be more lives lost in this illegal war. He did carry out the strikes, and now many in his administration have called it a war because it is, but without making a case to the American people and without congressional authorization, which is illegal. So at this point, I think it is very important that the president come to Congress, seek authorization for the war, make the case about why this is in our national security interests as Americans, and then provide a path forward. We don't want to see endless military operations. We don't want to see boots on the ground. And at this point, with so much of the regime's apparatus killed, I hope that the administration is thinking critically about what the plan is for a democratic future for Iran, instead of leaving the country in chaos and destruction, which could lead to civil war and more lives lost.
I hear you, and I hear the unique perspective that you have. If President Trump went to Congress, tried to get authorization before the strike, is that something you would have supported? Do you think he's made the case now for a war?
I don't think they have made the case, no. And I think that the issue is that they have changed their justification and changed the message at every turn. I mean, from, first, they said it's about well, first of all, when they talk about nuclear, last summer, Donald Trump said the nuclear program was obliterated. Then they said there was an imminent threat. This is what Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, said. And then when probed on what that imminent threat was, he said that Israel was going to attack Iran and Iran was prepared to retaliate. In no world is that the definition of an imminent threat. To this day, there's been no justification, no plan. Yesterday, the Secretary of Defense said this could go on for weeks and that there would be death and destruction coming from the sky. I'm also very concerned about civilian casualties in all of this. So short answer to your question again is no, the case has not been made, and it's urgent that it do be made before more lives are lost.
I'm really curious as to what's next for the people of Iran, because President Trump, when he was announcing Operation Epic Fury, he urged Iranians to take to the streets, to take over their government, and he said once the bombs stop dropping, go and take over the government. But it's really unclear as to when that's going to be. There's really no timeline, a real concrete timeline at least, as to when this military operation will end. And you said that you want to, quote, free Iran and a future of democracy and dignity for the Iranian people. President Trump, he said he also hoped that the IRGC and the military police would lay down their weapons and surrender to the Iranian people. I mean, do you see that happening? Do you see a strategy that's beyond President Trump essentially clearing out layers of the regime's leadership, dozens of the government leaders as well as the military ones, killing the Ayatollah as well, and then essentially telling the Iranian people, good luck, take over your government from there.
I want to be clear about the history of this as well. Back in January, when the protests were taking place in Iran and over 1 million people took to the streets to demand freedom and an end to the Islamic Republic, Donald Trump took to Truth Social and said the same thing. He said, take to the streets, take over your institutions, help is on the way. And then within days, the regime shut down the internet and massacred tens of thousands of people, and that help never came. And I think that's an important reminder of how ad hoc this entire thing has been. And in my view, what a lack of planning there has been by the administration. I asked very clearly during the one briefing that we have had as members of Congress by senior administration officials. And I asked if there is a plan and if they are considering a democratic transition to Iran. And it was made very clear that that is not part of this mission.